So Blake Wesley is slated to go in like the early mid 20s in the 2022 draft. And I think he is worthy of a lottery pick or more. And I'm here to explain why. And the main reason, which I've talked about plenty on this channel already, is his advantage creation tools. Wesley is a high upside kind of swing. Another like high upside, low floor kind of type that, isn't really as common as they tend to be made out to be. But Blake in like a spread pick and roll, spread floor, spacing heavy NBA, his top end burst, speed, change of pace is going to be really overwhelming. Like the ability to get 2 feet in the paint consistently is so critical for NBA advantage creators, and Wesley is like maybe the best in the whole class at this, beside from Jaden Ivey. Like he is unbelievable with his burst, or his change of direction. Loves rejecting screens because he sees the screen defender playing him, and there is just not enough time, and this defender and most defenders are not quick enough to react to that change of direction. And he finishes, which we'll get into the finishing a good bit later. This video is just going to focus on his like interior scoring and like his advantage creation. He has issues as a shooter, like the shot's inconsistent, the defense is inconsistent, but we're not really going to touch a ton on that in this video. Again, just the ability to reject the screen, use his burst to blow by a guy, and finish with his length is really, really impressive. The way he moves is just wild. I talk about movement a lot on this channel because it's really important, especially in prospects to me, in projecting development. Like very simply, like the game of basketball can be divided into three parts. Is can you know what spot to be in or to get the ball to? Can you get your body or the ball there? And can you execute the play, finish, make the pass? And Wesley is so good with that second part. Like this is Shea level stuff, and Shea is kind of the cliche like wacky moving guard, but look where he picks the ball up. And the early pickups are kind of an issue with Blake at the moment. He picks the ball up like right here. Looks like not a great spot. And he ends up right here with kind of a wide open layup. The beautiful inside hand finish where he slinks through defenders. Like it's really impressive movement. This clip, yeah, I mean, you really can't put a big on Blake. He's going to torch them. Any like slow defender who like doesn't have like really positive lateral foot speed is going to get blown by. And obviously, you can throw help at Wesley, which is a challenge for him at the moment. But if you're leaving him on an island with, especially a big like Kofi Coburn who like, isn't really a quick guy, like he's food. Like, there's absolutely nothing you can do to contain Blake. In like the like spread offense is great. Even like early offense, semi transition, like obviously teams will impress like this, but this is not a very smart decision against Blake because just no one's gonna be able to deal with him. And again, we see some impressive finishing craft here. The finishing, probably his biggest weakness. We're gonna get into that in a bit, but able to decelerate, which we highlighted the change of direction before. We'll continue to highlight that. The ability to decelerate from high speeds is a critical trait for finishers, and Wesley certainly flashes that ability. Again, a similar play on the exact opposite side of the court in the same game. I believe he's going to use this screen this time, able to use his deceleration even more effectively here. So, like, even when he's not able to clear the drop big, which he often is with his crazy burst, again, he takes the long, slow strides. Like, look how spread out he is. He plants that foot to stop. This defender cannot stop his momentum, and he's able to hang in the air and hit a tough shot. But as we're going to continue to see, like finishing is the biggest issue with Blake. He is like I believe he's shooting like 51% at the rim on a lot of attempts, which is really, really bad. Like that is very, very bad, as we'll get into. But like his lack of physical tools. I think this is actually a clip I'm gonna whatever. So this is like a big problem with Blake. Like we kind of saw like with the early pickup on like this on a couple plays earlier on this one, yeah. But he really, these early pickups to me kind of highlight like a lapse in his process when it comes to advantage creation. like he is able to get space here on Theo John, stringing together moves, using his burst as well here. And this is kind of a similar spot where he picks up the ball in a not great spot. The last play we saw, he was able to convert it into a really tough layup, but a lot of times, like these really tough situations, Blake just isn't going to be able to convert. And again, like he is really lacking in vertical athleticism. Like that's the biggest issue, really, with Blake Wesley, is that he just cannot jump. And in this game, he routinely, I credit him a lot, routinely tested Mark Williams, who is an extremely large human being and could be a lottery pick, and was just routinely destroyed. Like he cannot deal with his length, with his size, and like even when Blake is able to create an advantage, like we see he does here with just his incredible burst and second gear, and he's like pretty open here, and he kind of just smokes that finish. And I don't think the defender gets a hand on this. I could be mistaken. Let's watch this again. See, this is how I scout in real time. I don't think that was a block, but still, like Blake is just continuing. Like he will always challenge these, which I really appreciate. It just does not go well so much of the time. And like I think this is kind of also an issue where he often isn't really looking for these kind of open interior passes that he's generating. Blake is, if nothing else, a very basic passer at this point, where he just makes like basic pick and roll reads, hit aheads, stuff like this, where he's using his rim gravity to find an open man in the middle. He's not doing consistently. Something to point out is that Blake Wesley is a young freshman for this Notre Dame team, like has a monstrous usage rate, like above 30, which certainly I think is a major contributor to his terrible efficiency. Like they are asking him to do so much in terms of carrying this Notre Dame offense, and it's going to be a challenge for any freshman. And I think given the circumstances, Wesley did an impressive job. Like in terms of guards, the second highest usage guy on his team was like below 20 usage. Like almost less than half of his rate, which is really crazy. Like it's not something you see super, super often. And again, we look at, I'm just going to actually cut off of this for now and look at Blake Wesley's numbers himself. This is Bartorvik. We love Bartorvik on this channel and just on all my content. It's the best public source for finding stats. We see again, 51% of the rim, 160 attempts. Really not great. A lot of threes. The three-point volume is certainly his best shooting indicator. The free throw's not great. The long two's not great, but he really shoots them, and I'm not too worried about the shot. But like we've said, really poor finishing on really astronomical usage. And if we look at the guys who, again, like less than 54 at the rim, which is quite a few more, and then more than Blake's 160 attempts, and we look at these guys who qualify here, it's really not a lot. Like it's hard to improve finishing, I think. And we see guys like this, like 4 of them are not really positive NBA players, and one of them is Trae Young, who is just like a floater god and a touch god. The only guy really similar in size and build is Josh Okogie, who had some similar issues to Wesley in college. They played very different roles, and like Okogie wasn't like nearly the self-creator Wesley is. But you could see a lot of the same kind of vertical end process issues where even if Okogie's able to beat his defender here, shout out to Bruce Brown, he just like kind of takes a little floaty jumper, and you can see he doesn't really get very far off the ground. Like this is very Wesley-esque in the kind of plays that he does. And again, even when like the shots go in, it's a lot of this like wacky kind of tough touch stuff, which is not great. Another guy who has really improved his finishing is Donovan Mitchell, who was like notably a bad finisher in college. Is like fabled, his fabled like one-leg vertical jump increase in the NBA. But you see a lot of similarities to Blake Wesley with his college finishing tape. This is obviously not a comparison between these two players, just this one aspect of their games where, Mitchell's able to kind of like snake through the defense, and you can see he doesn't really get much lift, but he's able to use his length to get the ball around that defender. This clip to me is pretty similar to this one, where he is able to kind of maneuver through the defender and use his length to scoop that ball in. And then this play again, Donovan using his handle, which was he was a better handler than Blake is, but still just not a ton of lift there. He was using his ability to hit these tough finger rolls and kind of hang in the air. But we see in the NBA, like, it doesn't look totally different. Like, you don't really see Donovan like going through guys and like getting insanely close to the rim unless he's postering people, which he does decently often at this point. But it's just similar moves but more explosion. Like the same kind of pickup, just a more explosive gather and jump off of 1 foot, the same kind of length to avoid. And I think this is definitely a place to look for improvement for Wesley. Is he just isn't the vertical athlete even college Donovan Mitchell was, but there is similar craft in terms of footwork and body movement and like his just his general usage of length. I think he really relies on these like kind of long finger rolls, which isn't the greatest habit in the world because this is just a tough shot to make. I believe there's a clip later in here where he just missed one of those that I forgot to talk about when it was happening live. Was it this one? I think it was this one. I don't remember. Whatever. But point being, like, he has similar finishing tools, and Wesley's like 4 or 5 inches taller as well. Like, he is very large. He is tall, and he seems like a guy who could add some weight as well. So these advantage creation tools against a spread defense, operating high pick and roll, are very impressive. And if a team is willing to commit to his development, to use him in the G League, and also consider that his NBA role is going to be a lot smaller, at least early in his career, as like a combo wing scorer, not someone who's going to command near 30 usage, is going to have less defensive attention, is going to be able to do things like attacking closeouts that he didn't get to do in college, really. And, the crazy amounts of separation he can create off the dribble will aid his passing development as well. So for all of these reasons, I think Blake Wesley is one of the better upside swings in the draft outside of the top 4 or 5, and someone I'd be comfortable taking in the lottery for some teams. So let me know what you think.